Hey guys, it's me, Danny, and today I'm going to do a celebrity chart reading. We're going to look at Jennifer Lawrence's chart, and it's really, really interesting. So if you want to learn more about her chart, then stay tuned, and we'll jump right into it. Okay, so it's a pretty cool chart. I have some similarities to her chart, actually, which is really interesting. It's not that surprising. My birthday is August 21st and hers is August 15th, and we're just a couple years apart, so a lot of the outer planets are the same. So some really cool stuff in here. So let's jump right into it. So as always, we look at the first house, the rising sign. So she's a Sagittarius rising, which means she's a Jupiterian person. And Jupiter is over here in Cancer, and it's exalted in Cancer. So it's a really, really amazing position, and you just really can't get it much better than this. Jupiter in Cancer is really comfortable in their own skin. They're adventurous, but they're emotional and sensitive and aware enough to not completely just be super blunt and bold like Sagittarius can be. So Jupiter in Cancer just a little bit more gentle and sensitive, but still really passionate and fun and sort of bubbly. I mean, it's just a lot of what you see in her general energy is that the adventurousness. It's the fact, she's Sag rising. I mean, and that her thing is the archer, basically, and Hunger Games. I mean, it's just such a Sag archetype. And the Jupiter in Cancer gives her that really sensitive aspect too. So she's like a warrior, but she's like a big heart, and it's so beautifully laid out right here. And it's in the 8th house. So the 8th house is where things are hidden from you. So I wonder if, despite the rest of your chart, the Leo will help kind of alleviate this piece. But when you have the ruler of your ascendant in the 8th house like that, it's sort of like you usually don't have that much, you don't necessarily know how you come across. And so she might have been really unaware of some of her skills and her talents, and also just not really aware of how she comes across. I think she can. It's gonna bring back more of the signature of Sagittarius, or just kind of being a little bit blind, just kind of sticking your foot in your mouth and not really knowing. You're sometimes not aware of what you're doing. So that's kind of interesting. And then of course, just because it's Jupiter exalted in Cancer, though, it's so endearing that I think she gets like a pass so often for being a little bit even just unaware of what's going on. And then we look at the 10th house here is or we can look at the moon next. So the moon, so it's in Cancer. The moon owns Cancer, and the moon's in Gemini, which is Jupiter's detriment. So this is gonna sometimes get her really all over the place, and she'll have when Jupiter's related to Gemini, it creates she's become really interested in everything and love to talk. And there's like an emotion with the moon in Gemini is an emotional need to talk and gather information. So she's very curious. She's always want more information. She's very clever, very quick, very witty. Moon in Gemini is almost always like a very witty person. They just have an emotional nature, and and that just really appeals well to that. And they process their emotions in a kind of snarky, goofy way. They're just kind of like, oh yeah, well, F that. There's an emotional humor. They bring humor to their emotional processing, basically. So that adds a lot of humor into the chart. And then we see, she's a Sun and Venus in Leo. The Sun in Leo, of course, is in its own sign. It's very powerful, very regal quality. The Sun in Leo like this is just in the 9th house too. Is a little bit weaker than the 9th house. But it also makes her more of a spiritual person, interested in spirituality. And so she's probably a very thoughtful person. And then the 10th house rules career, and she has Mercury in Virgo in its exaltation right on the 10th house cusp, just like perceived really well in professional situations. So when she's very goofy, but I can pretty much guarantee that when she's on set, she's like got her lines down, she's ready to work, she goes in, she's precise, she gives the performance, and I bet they get, what they're looking for really, really quickly with her. So it's all really great. And what else? So this is the seventh house often rules like our audiences. So Gemini here, and again it's in the 10th house and it's exalted. So she's going to be perceived very well. Her audience is going to see her as very informed and very precise, and they're just going to really appreciate her. They're going to have high opinions of her. Virgo's very critical. She doesn't, so she's, over here, Jupiter, and Jupiter doesn't receive Virgo very well, so I bet she probably has more than most, maybe a kind of a sort of weird kind of attitude about her fans. I think she's aware that fans are really important, but I don't think she necessarily wants a ton to do with them. I think she just does what she needs to do. She's not going to receive them very well. They love her, but she's not going to take that very well. It's kind of too much, could be too much specific detail attention on her. She just kind of it's just not natural to her. But on set and in professional situations, she's fine with that kind of attention. And Venus in Leo is very luxurious. It's a beautiful position for... Venus isn't necessarily super happy in Leo because Venus isn't shy. She likes to be noticed, but she's like this beautiful queen kind of princess. So it's like, Venus wants to walk through the room in a gown and have everyone look, and then she's gone. She doesn't want lingering attention. When Venus is in Leo, she's kind of forced to have to be in the spotlight a lot more than she is comfortable. But this also is the best combination for hair. Usually, Leos always tend to have amazing hair. Venus in Leo is going to add to the hair, the good hair concept, and it's going to bring some of the beauty over to the sun. It's a great combination. It'd be better if these were a little closer together, but it's fine. The weakest planet in her chart is going to be Mars. It's in detriment in Taurus. And that is, let's see, it's mostly going to affect her. It does affect her in terms of people who are advocates for her in some way or representing her. I bet she has a weird relationship with her agents or managers. I think she might perceive them as being really sluggish or slow or not really doing their job, kind of lazy. She's gonna have that's something that she's likely to encounter. They might be slow to get back to her on things. I bet that's a source of some tension. And then the 12th house. Mars also rules her 12th house, and it's in a detriment again. I think all I would say is I think she could definitely get herself into trouble if she wasn't too careful about pushing her health and her mental health. If she pushed herself too hard, she could end up not necessarily in jail. It's not, her chart's not really lined up for that. She's too royal to really fall into that trap very often. But she probably has had some experiences where she pushed herself too hard and kind of got into weird situations. So there's that. She has, let's see, down here in the house of money, possession, she has Saturn. The ruler is Saturn, and it's in its own sign. It's retrograde, but it's still very strong. She's going to tend to work really hard for her money, but keep it. It's just good. It's a good position for a celebrity. You want to see that they're maintaining their wealth and not just spending all of it. Not necessarily the chart of a huge altruistic kind of person, but I think she probably does, she does what's right. This is a person who does kind of what she thinks she's supposed to do. She definitely has more inner values, but she's more doing, in terms of public affairs, she's just more doing what she needs to do. She doesn't love it or hate it. And then you also, I have this too, Uranus right on the second house cusp. It's a good thing for money. and Neptune here. Uranus isn't so good for money. That's actually gonna maybe cause her to lose money all of a sudden. But Neptune, that kind of counterbalances a little bit, because Neptune in the second on its own, like that is gonna, it tends to create a situation where, like, if you really, really desperately need some money, he'll just like show up at the last second. It's kind of this, it sort of has this sort of protective factor with finance when it's right there. So I bet her experience of money is probably really confusing. Different people probably wanting to get, their hands on it, with her weird manager that doesn't really seem it seems kind of shady. People could be trying to get money for her. She'd see like, oh, where did all that money go? And then some at the last minute it kind of comes back. But overall, she has a lot of strength in maintaining her wealth. It's really good to see that. Yeah, I mean, that's the first read on it, so I could get much more into detail. Let's look at one more thing. I like to look at the horary chart to get a feel for declination. She has her moon out of bounds. Moon out of bounds, people. So I have a whole article about this. I believe I have a video about this. But usually throughout the seasons, because of the shifting tilt of the Earth axis, the sun throughout the sky kind of follows this wave, and it's called the declination, from directly overhead, and it doesn't usually go, the sun never goes past about 24.5 degrees of declination. So you can see the moon is over 2 degrees out of declination. It's out of bounds, and when the moon's out of bounds, or when any planet's out of bounds, it kind of acts on steroids. So this planet's acting alone and outside of the realm of the sun and the rest of the planets. So the moon out of bounds is just tends to actually the moon changes signs every 2.5 days, so that's really exaggerated. So it can be very moody, could be very fluctuating in mood, can change your interests really quickly. So all of a sudden you could get to being really successful and really accomplish a certain thing, and then be like, bored, just want to do something else just to do it. So you see these people kind of jumping from thing to thing to thing to thing, and it's in Gemini, so it's going to exaggerate that even more. So outside of her professional, like being on set, she's really able to stay focused, and in any kind of professional situation. But anything outside of that, she's probably pretty all over the place emotionally. I don't think she's got any like emotional like issues that are too serious, but she's kind of like from thing to thing. She wants to have fun. She gets bored easily, so she's kind of on to the next thing. And she's got moon on the fixed star Bellatrix. I don't know a ton about Bellatrix, but you can look it up. Or more, I can do a video more about fixed stars another time. Alrighty, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and please, if this video was interesting to you, please subscribe. It really would be awesome, and stay tuned for more videos, and please comment below and let me know if you liked this video, if there are any other celebrities you want to see their charts, and if you have another chart that you want to do. And as always, I'm here to help you guys learn about astrology, and I'll talk to you guys later. Okay, bye!